So today I'm going to be telling you about the worst date I've ever had. Now I know I've said that a lot of times on my channel. I've been like, oh my god, this was the worst date ever. No, this was the worst date ever because he lied to me. He cheated on me. He ghosted me. He ate a live chicken in front of me. But this date was really the worst date I've ever been on. When this date happened, I actually thought it was a good date. But now the more I think about this date and I look back on this date, I realize it was the worst fucking date ever. So this bad date experience happened with a guy named Jim from California. A lot of you guys might already know about Jim since I have talked about him a lot on my channel. But I remember the last date Jim and I were on before things really hit the fan. If you guys don't know the story, just wait for it. So he picked me up at my apartment and we went out to dinner to one of our favorite restaurants in Manhattan Beach. And right from the get-go, and girls, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes when you're with a guy and there is something off, there is something wrong, or he's like keeping a secret from you, you can just feel it. You can sense it in the air. When he picked me up and when I got into the car, I immediately noticed that something was wrong. He was very quiet, and when he was talking to me, he was just very strange. I remember at one point he looked up at me, he's like, Stephanie, do you want to run away with me? And I was like, why do we have to run away? Like, why can't we just stay here? Like, we got everything we need here in California. Why do you want to run away, huh? But he's like, oh, no reason, you know, I'm just sick of things here. And now that I look back on it, I'm like, no wonder that piece of shit wanted to run away. But anyways, we ended up at the restaurant, we were having dinner, we sat outside, and I tried cracking jokes, I tried to be funny, I tried to talk about things that would interest him, and he was just not having it. He was being very awkward and very quiet, and when I confronted him about it and I was like, dude, what's going on with you? Why are you being so quiet and so weird and not like making jokes with me? He was like, I'm sorry, I just had a really rough day today, I don't want to talk about it. And I started to coax him like, dude, can you please just tell me what the fuck is going on with you, because you're being really freaking weird. Are you a psychopath serial killer that kidnapped my boyfriend and is now wearing his face as a mask? And instead of things getting better over the course of dinner, they just got even weirder and weirder. And at one point he looked down at his phone and he jumped up out of his seat, and I was like, dude, first you're being all weird and quiet, now you're jumping out of your seat like a freaking crazy person. Everybody's here watching us thinking that we're psychotic. What is going on with you? And he's like, I really have to go. And I was like, where do you have to go? He's like, I have to go to the bank. And I was like, why the fuck do you have to go to the bank? He's like, I have to go and take some money out of the bank before it closes. And I looked down at the time and it was like 4:30 or something. And I was like, okay, well, the bank closes in like 30 minutes. He's like, I'll be right back. So he literally takes his things, and before our food is even at the table, he leaves me alone in this restaurant to go to the bank. I was like, dude, why couldn't you have waited to go to the bank after we had dinner? And I tried to bring that up to him. I was like, dude, can't you just use an ATM machine? He's like, no, because the amount that I need to take out of the bank, it exceeds my daily limit that I could take out of the ATM machine. And I was like, dude, you're fucking confusing me. Why can't we just sit here and enjoy our fettuccine Alfredo? Like, why are you being such a piece of shit right now? So he leaves me and he's like, I'll be back in like 10 minutes. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just pretend that you're taking a really long shit in the bathroom and I'll try to be okay with this. So I'm sitting there by myself at this restaurant and people around me are just like, wow, did that dude just like straight up blow this girl off in the middle of their date? And I just keep praying to myself, like, please don't let the food get here before he comes back, because then I'm just gonna look like an even bigger idiot. 20 minutes go by, and finally the waiter arrives with both of our dishes. And I'm sitting there in front of my fettuccine Alfredo, and he's got his steak or whatever the fuck he ordered, I don't remember. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, do I eat or do I wait? So I literally ended up waiting like another 15 minutes. My food got cold. And then finally, he came back. And I was just sitting there with the bitchiest look on my face, like, and he acts like absolutely nothing's wrong, and he proceeds to go and eat his food, which is now cold, and then I proceed to eat my food, which is cold, and then after dinner, we silently get in the car, and he drives me back to my apartment. Finally, he drops me off back at the apartment, and he gets out of the car, and he opens the door for me, which was something that he always did because he was a bit of a gentleman. And I stand there for a moment, and I look into his eyes, and something about the way that he looked at me made me feel like this was going to be the last time I'd be seeing him. And as I hugged and kissed him goodbye, there was this sense of finality to it. And then turns out I didn't see him for an entire month after that, and he completely ghosted me. He told me that he had a brain tumor. He went to the Philippines for like an entire month and ignored me, and then I ended up freaking out and I thought he died, and I was checking obituaries like every single week because he wasn't talking to me, and he told me that he had a brain tumor. But then I ended up meeting up with his coworker from work, and he told me that he was married and had 2 kids, and that was why he was acting weird, because his wife had finally found out about us. So that was the worst date ever. It was the worst date ever because it was the beginning of a very dark period of time for me because I was very close to this man. This man treated me very, very nicely during our time together, and I had really fallen in love with him. And to have something like that happen to me, to have someone lie to me like that and completely abandon me emotionally and physically like that, was very, very painful, and I will never ever forget that date. And although it wasn't like your stereotypical bad date where the guy like stiffed me or hit me or threw up on me, emotionally it was a very challenging date, and I will always look back on it as the worst date ever. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to click the thumbs up button if you want more updates on my dating life, and to subscribe to my channel by clicking on the pizza, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!